Hello everyone and welcome to Educate 247. This is the lecture fourth in the series on management and today we'll be covering leadership part 2. This series is important for RBI grade B as well as SEBI grade A 2020 examination. So we'll be continuing with the MCQs, but before moving forward, Educate 247 brings you SEBI grade A 2020 crash course with concise content and 5000 plus MCQs for you to practice. So you can log on to the website and apply coupon code SEBI to avail discount on this course. Now, before moving forward, let us understand what is leadership. Leadership is an important element of the directing function of management. Whenever there is an organized group of people working towards a common goal, some time of leadership becomes essential. The power of leadership is the power of integrating. The leader stimulates what's best in us and unites and concentrates what we feel only gropingly and shatteringly. According to Mary Parker Follett, the person who influences me the most is not he who does great deeds, but he who makes me feel that I can do great deeds. It is the ability to build up confidence and zeal among people and to create an urge in them to be led. To be a successful leader, a manager must possess the qualities of foresight, drive, initiative, self confidence, and personal integrity. Now, let us move on to the MCQs. Consider the following statements about the characteristics of leadership. First, leadership is a group process which involves interaction with two or more people with each other. Second, leadership is independent of the situation and involves accomplishment of business goals. Which of them is correct? A. None of this. B. First and second. C. Second only. Or D. The first one. So the correct answer here is D, that is, only the first one is correct. Coming to nature and characteristics of leadership, it is a personal quality. It is a process of influence as a leader must be able to influence the behavior, attitude, and beliefs of his subordinates. It involves the readiness to accept complete responsibility in all situations. It is the function to stimulate the followers to strive willingly to attain organizational objectives. From the viewpoint of official recognition from top management, leaders may be classified as formal and informal leaders. The formal leader has a twofold responsibility. On the one hand, he has to fulfill the demands of the organization, while on the other hand, he is also supposed to help, guide, and direct his subordinates in satisfying their needs and aspirations. While informal leaders are not formally recognized, they derive authority from the people who are under their influence. In any organization, we can always find some people who command respect and who are approached to help guide and protect the informal leaders. Looking at some of the characteristics of a good leader, a leader will have a clear vision, a picture of where they want to go and how the goals are to be achieved. However, just that alone is not enough. Leaders must share their ideas with others. Jack Welch, former CEO of General Electric, believed the following: good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, and passionately own the vision. A leader must be able to use his or her vision and communicate it well so that customers and employees alike also believe it. He or she must find a clear and passionate word to make the vision attractive to others. A leader does not suffer from analysis paralysis but arranges everything in accordance with the vision. As a leader, you must be able to inspire your colleagues and mobilize them into action. Be the motor that drives new ideas if the engine stops. This means a lot of responsibility, but also the ability to create a strong impact. It can be a great experience to see how one's own vision can lead others towards motivation for action. Would you think of yourself as someone who is always pushing boundaries within the necessary time and energy? A good leader does everything to complete the next step in the vision. A leader shows his team that there are always opportunities to achieve something great. A person of integrity showcases the same values in all environments. Such leaders convey trust and leave colleagues with no doubts about their communication. This means honest action, predictable reactions, controlled emotions, and a total absence of any tantrums. An executive with strong integrity and balance is much more desirable for the employees. In addition, it is important to be fair. Fairness means measuring others consistently with the same measure. A leader must listen to all the opinion before making any judgment. He or she should avoid making decisions without necessary data. The ability to think outside the box is another important feature. Creativity allows managers to explore different ideas that might not be so apparent on the surface, and the team can thus be steered in new directions. The most important question of what you can ask yourself as a boss is what if? Having a sense of humor is another important characteristic. Humor is important to resolve tensions, diffuse hostilities, or to break up spells of boredom. Effective leaders know how to use humor to motivate employees. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is an incorrect statement about the importance of leadership? A. It provides guidance as well as plays a supporting role for the employees. B. It is aimed at the fulfillment of self goals prior to organizational goals. C. It initiates action to get the work done. Or D. It is a morale booster for employees to work together and achieve their goals. So the correct answer here is B. That is, it is aimed at the fulfillment of self goals prior to organizational goals. Leadership is an important function of management which helps to maximize efficiency and to achieve organizational goals. The following points justify the importance of leadership. A leader is a person who starts the work by communicating the policies and plans of the subordinates from where the work actually starts. He proves to be playing an incentive role in the concern's working as he motivates the employees with economic and non-economic rewards and thereby gets the work from the subordinates. A leader has to not only supervise but also play a guiding role for the subordinates. He needs to create confidence, which is another important factor in order to achieve the work. A leader can also be a morale booster to achieve full cooperation so that the employees can perform to the best of their abilities. Management is getting things done from people. An efficient work environment helps in sound and stable growth. Therefore, human relations should be kept in mind by a leader. He should always have personal contacts with the employees and should listen to the problems and solve them. He should treat employees on humanitarian terms. Coordination can be achieved through reconciling personal interests with the organizational goals. Moving on to the next question. Who among the following were the pioneers of the situational leadership theory? And the options are A. Michael Porter, B. Kenneth Blanchard and Paul Hershey, C. Robert Galbraith, or D. Elton Mayo. So the correct answer here is B, that is Kenneth Blanchard and Paul Hershey. The situational leadership theory refers to those leaders who adopt different leadership styles according to the situation and the development level of their team members. It is an effective way of leadership as it adapts to the team's needs and sets a beneficial balance for the whole organization. So, we'll be discussing as a leader moves among these behaviors. Coming to the first one, that is, the leader tells. The main function demanded for a leader is to lead and make decisions. In order to do so successfully while encouraging and motivating our team, it is essential that the instructions which is given to the employees are clear and concise. The leader must ensure that from the outside, their team members know what they have to do. Only then they will be able to take small steps and achieve success. Coming to the leader cells, at the second level, the leader offers constant supervision to the team, providing feedback. It is also during this stage that the leader asks its co-workers for information to gather suggestions, improvements, and new ideas which may contribute to the project. The final decision, however, rests with the leader, but thanks to those questions, he involves the whole team to think and discern. Coming to the leader's advice, the leader must facilitate and encourage his teammates. This is the only way to ensure to get the best out of them since they have received guidance and motivation towards the same objective. When this stage is reached, leadership provides opportunities for the team to discuss and exchange views as well as on different perspectives, thus enriching the collaborative process. Coming to delegation by the leader, it is essential that leaders want and know how to delegate tasks to the team. At this level of situational leadership, individuals are mature, they know how to behave, understand what their role is, and what is expected of them because the leader has been able to explain everything clearly. For this reason, the leader is able to delegate responsibilities to colleagues and respect their way of carrying out the tasks which has been entrusted to them. Moving on to the next question. What are the four main styles of leadership displayed by the manager, which is identified in the Tannenbaum and Schmidt continuum of possible leadership behavior? And the options are A. Commands, helps, joins, and leads. B. Commands, sells, consults, and resists. C. Tells, sells, consults, and joins. Or D. Tells, helps, joins, and leads. So the correct answer here is D, that is, tells, helps, join, and lead. The Tannenbaum-Schmidt continuum is a simple model of leadership theory which shows the relationship between the level of freedom that a manager chooses to give to a team and the level of authority which is used by a manager. As the team's freedom is increased, so the manager's authority decreases. This is a positive way for both teams and managers to develop. While the Tannenbaum-Schmidt model concerns delegated freedom to a group, the principle of being able to apply different levels of delegated freedom closely relates to the level of delegation. As a manager, one of your responsibilities is to develop your team. You should delegate tasks and ask a team to make its own decisions to varying degrees according to their abilities. There is a rising scale of levels of delegated freedom that you can use when working with your team, while the Tannenbaum and Schmidt continuum is often shown as a simple graph. Over time, a manager should aim to take the team from one end to the other, up the scale, at which point you should also aim to have developed one or a number of potential successors from within your team to take over from you. This process can take a year or two or even longer, so be patient. When examining and applying the Tannenbaum and Schmidt principles, it is extremely important to remember that irrespective of the amount of responsibility and freedom delegated by a manager to a team, the manager retains accountability for any catastrophic problems that results. Delegating freedom and decision-making responsibility to a team absolutely does not absolve the manager of his accountability. That's why delegating, whether to teams or individuals, requires a very grown-up manager. If everything goes well, the team must get the credit. If all goes horribly wrong, then the manager must take blame. This is entirely fair because the manager is the ultimate responsible for judging the seriousness of any given situation, including the risks entailed and the level of freedom that can be safely be granted. Moving on to the next question. On what belief are the contingency theories of leadership based? Option A, that there is a single style of leadership appropriate to all situations. Option B, that there is no single style of leadership appropriate to all situations. Option C, that there is a single style of leadership appropriate to all managers. Or D, none of the above. So the correct answer here is option B, that there is no single style of leadership which is appropriate to all situations. The contingency theory of leadership supposes that a leader's effectiveness is contingent on whether or not their leadership suits a particular situation. According to this theory, an individual can be an effective leader in one circumstance and an ineffective leader in another one. To maximize the likelihood of being a productive leader, the theory posits that you should be able to examine each situation and decide if your leadership is going to be effective or not. In most cases, this requires you to be self-aware. In the workplace, there are dozens of factors that can affect a leader's effectiveness. These include things like size of the team, the scope of the project, and the expected delivery date for result. Different leaders, each with unique leadership styles, will respond to these variables in different ways. Contingency theorists would say that no matter how successful a leader is, there is always be a particular situation that will challenge them. Therefore, leaders must be willing to acknowledge the fact that their success depends partly on the circumstances in addition to their personal skills. To lead the team well, managers and supervisors may need to either adopt their leadership style to the current situation or delegate some of their leadership responsibilities to a co-worker. The contingency theory of leadership is impacted by a range of factors which includes the maturity level of the employees, the relationship between the co-workers, the work pace, as well as the management style. So that's it for this video. Now before ending this lecture, I would like to remind you that Educare 247 has brought in a comprehensive course for RBI Grade B 2020 examination which covers subjects such as economic and social issues, finance and management as well as current affairs along with 10,000 plus MCQs. so you can log on to the website and avail the benefits of the full video course. Thank you and happy learning.